Well, he started taking a leap where he wanted to do it himself. And he needs to.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I've seen this hall with so many people in. Wow. My name's Pete Spink, and I'm one of the founders, co-founders of Space to Talk, which you may have seen all the bits and pieces around the room. And we were invited to come up by you guys to sort of elaborate a little bit about what we do, but also to tell you a little about what our ambassador does, Dan Eggleton, who is I consider the new Bear Grylls of UK. He's yet to be discovered, but doing things like we do this, hopefully will get him, somewhere to be recognised for all the work that he's done since he's been 14, 15. So we are live streaming, so if anybody wants to shout anything or say anything, remember you are live around the world, because we live stream this to people in America and over in South America where Daniel's going, so it is live feed. So it's only looking at us, you're quite safe. I've done my makeup and Dan's done his, so we're okay. I'm going to show you a little bit about space, but if you could just home laws around mobile phones, just make sure they're switched off so we don't get, the wife finding out where you are tonight, etc., those sort of things. And feel free, if you have to take a call, just wander out and go and do it. We hope to break the evening into two areas, where we'll do a first area, then we'll have a break, then we'll do a second bit, we'll do a break, then we'll do a Q&A. There are some little raffle tickets for prize. We're doing 50p a strip in there for people who want to sort of buy some raffle prizes, because I bought some wonderful space gizzards to give away. And that's about it. At the end, if you have any questions, we have got some sheets of newspaper in there as well. And if you want to ask a question but you're a bit embarrassed to put your hand up, please fill it in, give it to the guys at the bar, and they'll bring it to us, and I'll ask the question to the main man. So let's get going.
I initially attended Space for mental health, walking as therapy.
The benefits of working with Space, it's the best form of treatment outdoors.
There's nothing else like this in terms of walking and therapy.
Out walking, and within a few weeks they're saying how much better they feel.
We've just come down from a walk up onto the fell, where we've taken some people up for a 2.5 kilometre up, 2.5 kilometre walk back down. And that's to give them a little bit of exposure to seeing the views of Cumbria, being able to speak a little bit about their personal problems, seeing a little bit about offloading, and basically doing what we ask people to do on a daily basis here at Space, which is taking time out, come away for a weekend, go for a walk, go for a talk. Anybody can come along.
We do walking as a therapy, and we do peer support.
Meeting the new people and getting more confidence and getting stronger.
It's relaxed, supportive, friendly.
We can bespoke the requirements of our audience and the people that get referred to us around the areas that they want to do.
We're able to provide support to those people, both in terms of peer support and views around managing their own mental health and well-being, some tips around their own self-care, or just a place for them to meet and have a bit of time out.
The candidates and the clients and the people that are referred into us through the NHS, they all come and they all get something. They will walk away with something that they wouldn't have got if they'd stayed at home.
I feel it gives you the tools to be able to kind of push yourself a bit further out of your comfort zone.
Any adult over the age of 18 can come along to any of our walks and talks, any of our activities, any of our sessions we have. We cover the whole of UK.
It's just a social environment where people hopefully will feel comfortable, get out, do a bit of walking and a bit of exploring and seeing the countryside, and just generally having a time away, probably from the stresses and strains of everyday life.
We understand, we are life experienced, and we have actually suffered and been in the same space as those individuals have been.
Sociable, supportive and consistent.
Family.
So, you may have noticed a lot of that was filmed in this building, just as a bit of a clue, and we use this area quite a lot. For those of you who don't know, we come here once a month from March through to September. We bring NHS referrals up, we bring people that are referred to us from any form of support society, and we also just bring up the local population. We actually had some people come and join us from the village when we did the Nordic walking. I'm a social psychologist. We're non-clinical. I work with another psychologist and an under-18 child psychologist. So we are very, very trained. All of our leaders, our walk leaders, etc., are all life experienced. I don't have a problem in putting my hand up and telling you in 2013 I tried to commit suicide, but I survived, and that's why I'm here now. And the reason I'm here now is because I wanted to find out how I got to that situation. One of the reasons why we use Dan, and we have Dan as an ambassador, is he came to us. I met Dan in 2016, 2017 when I was a police officer looking after training of police cadets, and I wanted to find somebody who I could get these kids to talk to and sort of look up to and go, oh, that's something I could do, because they can get off their PlayStations, they can get out of their bedrooms, and they can go out and explore. I met Dan through a social media clip that I seen. I contacted him, and since then we've been best of friends. And he's going off to South America, as you know, very, very soon, and I'm going to look after his UK management for that support within that. And to be honest, what Dan has done for the young people we've brought up here, it's been a marvel. It's been a marvel. So, again, I'll stop talking and we'll let you watch a little bit of what Dan's all about.
The stunning Pacific coast of Colombia, blue waters and pristine beaches, but beyond it a jungle stretching north to Panama, largely unexplored and extremely dangerous, known as the Darien Gap.
The Darien Gap is one of the most dangerous jungles on the planet, simply because of the drug traffickers, narco traffickers, armed traffickers, human trafficking, and it all seems to be focused and concentrated in that jungle.
We first met Daniel Eggington, a budding explorer from Smethwick, 4 years ago as he planned to cross the western side of the Darien Gap alone, a long-held personal challenge coupled with a desire to highlight the persecution of indigenous communities by the drug lords and paramilitary groups like the ELN and the Gulf Clan who infest the area.
Lack of education, lack of jobs, which then leads to young people being recruited into the ranks of the guerrilla factions.
Even so, the most experienced adventurers warned him against such an ambitious and hazardous journey.
They said you're putting your head into a bit of a hornet's nest there, but be smart and have that evacuation plan if something goes wrong.
And 2 previous attempts did go wrong, thwarted by the Colombian authorities and the COVID pandemic. But last month, Daniel finally embarked on the 60-mile trek from Jurado in the Choco region of Colombia to Jaque in southern Panama. After paying his way by road and river to a village close to the Darien, a local man agrees to help him make the crossing.
It's like a proper trek now, and didn't stop raining for the last 2-3 days.
Day 1, and after 15 grueling miles on foot and 6 river crossings carrying a 27-kilo backpack crammed with food, a sleeping bag, hammock and video equipment, river number 7 is just too dangerous to tackle in the failing daylight in one of the wettest places on earth.
I've never seen rain like it, but I feel like crying. I'm in bits.
So this is where Daniel and his guide will spend their first night in the Darien Gap.
Yeah, we have a big mountain tomorrow. Big climb. Well, there's no river crossing, so we don't do 7 river crossings, so we climb up the mountain. So it should be okay, but we shall see.
Day 2, Daniel and his guide press on in the 95% humidity, carefully avoiding poisonous spiders, giant stinging bullet ants and venomous snakes. There's no sign of paramilitary groups or drug runners, but out of nowhere 2 men approach and speak to the guide in a local language.
He said yes, they've just finished a job and they're returning back from Panama, and what job that could have been, I don't know, but they was in the attire of guerrillas, like Wellington boots, and the one had like a pistol in his back of his waistband as well.
And further on, the discovery by an empty hut of an ID card once carried by a young Venezuelan woman, possibly trying to reach the USA via this dangerous and illegal route. Daniel has kept the card and has made efforts to trace her, but without success.
I'd like to think that she got from one side to the other happily, and now she's living in Miami or wherever she chose to live in the States. But after the Darien, you've got Honduras, you've got El Salvador, you've got the Mexican border, and you've got other dangers.
Then, as they approach the Panamanian border, a devastating announcement from the guide. This is as far as he'll go. He's leaving Daniel alone in the jungle.
Over the last couple of years, he'd trafficked over into Panama. He's wanted in Panama for all kinds of trafficking, be it people, be it drugs. And if the centre front, which is the border guard or the border police, military police, they would have picked him up. He would have got a lot of time in a Panama prison.
I'm broken, cracked, blistered up, tired. Left it in my hands so I don't get him locked up.
Scared but undeterred, Daniel pushes on, stopping for a second pitch-black, storm-filled night with heavy tree branches known as deadfall plunging to the jungle floor around him.
Deadfall probably 10 metres away from me, and I was laying on my hammock saying to myself, what can I do? Nothing I'll be able to do. I just literally laid there and hoped it didn't land on me.
Day 3 and Daniel is suffering. Skin has ripped from his shoulders and hips. He has muscle spasms in his legs. Even some of his toenails have fallen out, but he can't turn back now.
Sometimes though. Last night maybe. Getting lost yesterday a bit, getting lost today a bit.
Suddenly, on a riverbank, Daniel spots a boy fishing, a sure sign he's near the village of Hake, and his ordeal is almost over.
5 years preparation, I've done it. I found a indigenous community, and that's next to Hake. It's 8 miles away from Hake. Next challenge is the centre front. But yeah.
The centre front are Panama's border security guards. After a boat ride to their outpost and an initially hostile grilling for Daniel, they decide he's not a threat and are eager to hear his amazing story.
I said to myself, before I get past 30, I'm going to cross the Darien, and then I said to myself, his project's a success.
Andy Bevan, ITV News.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce you now. Here comes a young Mr. Egerton. Bit of a walk-on, you know. I mean, I like this walk-on. So, why is our IT all gone off? No, do it like this. So, I'm going to hand over to Daniel now. He will. If you've got any questions at any time, please stick your hand up and we'll try and answer them. But thank you, Dan, for coming again tonight. We've done this a couple of times now, and everyone's got a challenge, and today has been a challenge. Getting up here yesterday was a challenge, and compared to yesterday, what you're just about to go on in on Sunday when you start your trip, I wish you well. So I'll leave it with you. So, do you want me to?
Well, this is initially when I was planning the Darien. I got into it. Took me 5 years to initially plan it, and I did a number of trips to Colombia, a number of trips to Panama, and I was linked with journalists. I got in touch with heads of cartels and paramilitary groups, and when I finally did in 2019, finally get in touch with the head of a cartel group, part of the ELN, for permission. It took me 4 years to contact him, and within 2 days, the Colombian military had killed him. So that went right back to square one again. And this is the sort of information and advice I got from people, journalists, people that work out in the forest. This is just an image. I didn't take that image. A man called Carlos Villalon took it, and he was one of the go-to guys for the information. But it's only a short clip.
Serious and dangerous cases of dengue and also a condition called leishmaniasis. and without even questioning, he was shot in his head. These people are really, really aggressive.
If it's dangerous, yeah, it's fucking dangerous, man. That is like the key point of drug trafficking, and there is a lot of illegal armed groups over there. Yeah.
Oh, that's another point. And I didn't share that up until last year after I finished it, because the moment I would have shared that, my passport would have went missing, my mum would have took my passport, my brother would have locked me in a room, and I literally only shared that last year. My brother grilled me even that, so now it's because this Darien Gap is over, I'm free to not get locked up by the family. So yeah. So why do I do this sort of stuff? It's as simple as it can be. I just want stories, I want experiences, and this rooted from as a kid. I'd go to the library, I'd get travel books, I'd get animal books, and my first job, which is the best job I've ever had, was working in the zoo, and it's working with venomous snakes, crocodiles, and that's me, the first crocodile. I was 16, I think, maybe then, and that is where I think the passion, I wanted to go out and do that myself. So yeah, that's genuine, just my motivation.
Can I just add that at 16 I wanted to kick a football, and not sort of handle a crocodile? But...
Right, yeah. Yeah. That was one of the, it's literally, I only worked there 6 months, but it was one of the best jobs I've ever had in there. And how I prepare for these trips, again, it's one of, again, for the Darien Gap, because it was such a hard trip to plan, 5 trips to Colombia, 4 trips to Panama, to risk assess, double check people, go to the Colombian embassy. I contacted someone in Colombia. He said he was a counsellor online, and I went to the Colombian embassy in London to verify that person. First thing they said, we have no idea who that person is. So it was a ploy, I would imagine, to try and mug me, kidnap me, however that may be. But these are August 2022. I was spoken to by an organisation called Hostile Environment Training, and they planned, because there was so much high risk, and it was a spike in kidnapping at that time. Like the last 2 years, it's been really bad, and that's me on a Hostile Environment Training kidnap behaviour course, and that's one part of how I train. So they would literally, for 5 days, they'd just rough you up. Some of the stuff they did, I don't even speak about it. So it felt real. They knew everything. It must have been, some of them had jobs in the intelligence, and they knew my mum's name, they knew my mum's address, they knew my brother's kids' names. So when you're all balaclavaed up, they're whispering in your ear, I know your niece, I know where they live, and then they try and really enforce a reality of that sort of thing, what could potentially happen. Spanish and more Spanish. I literally, for the last 2 years, I've just been going ham with the Spanish. I'm 5 days a week, I'm speaking to people from Venezuela, Colombia, different accents. All my social media, my phone, my work, laptop, everything's all in Spanish. So it's exposure again for the situations that I would be in when I'm there, because I'll need to be able to communicate clear and concise and hear what they're saying. Hills and more hills. And that is a perfect reason why I come here. I love the work they do. I enjoy the work, but it's I do what I need to do with the team here, and then I just go up and down the hills. Every month since August, I've done an endurance event. I've done 30 miles down south, up north, in the Midlands, Brecon, Snowdon, and I'm doing that every month up until last month, which now I've got to kind of relax a bit so I don't do my legs in and be in a worse situation when I'm there. So again, a 12-month training plan. So I literally plan 12 months up until the day I go. So I go Sunday this week. So this weekend I'm off. But yeah, so 3 months I'll do a highly fitness, do 15-mile run 3 times a week. Then I'll drop that back and I'll start running with rucksacks with 3 miles on that. And then I'll stop that between 6 to 12 months, and it'll just be hill-based. And functional stuff, so I'd replicate exactly what I'd be doing. So in this instance, with this trip, it's hills and rowing. So I'd do a 25-mile day in the hill, then I'd come back and I'd do a 2-hour row, and that finished just before Christmas as well now. So I should be the fittest I've ever been for this trip, but it is the longest trip that I'm planning. So yeah, next one. The journey. As in the Darien Gap, I can briefly go over that. Jurado is a starting point. I've been there 5 or 6 times prior, and again, I'd had interviews with journalists over there, and journalists, when they'd interviewed me, they was then quizzed by the cartels over there. So who's this person coming? So they knew who I was, and when I was in the country, even when I was at the main capital, Medellin airport. So Jurado's like a cowboy town. I'd like to describe it as. People are going in the jungle, gold mining. Everyone's walking around with weapons, and the military are partying with the groups, and they're all in Hawaii t-shirts, like bright coloured Hawaii t-shirts. So it's like something out of the movies, literally. So that is Jurado, where I started. The jungle, as lovely as it is, it's just constant rain, and the rain, unless you've been to a tropical climate, you'd never witness rain like it. It's 30 degrees, humid, animals, everything either wants to bite you, either wants to eat you, or thinks you want to eat them, so they're stinging or biting you. So it's just constant. You've got a thing which I'll always remember in the jungle, it's razor grass. So it's grass as high as you are, and it just cuts its razor blade. The one on one of my recce trips, 2020, I had special gloves, and it was just, my hand was in tatters, and it was just on one of the routes that I was playing. So yeah, the jungle, the razor grass, and of course bullet ants and the venomous snakes, which are leprons, leeches as well, which are quite rare in Latin America, but you do get them. And of course the mosquitoes that carry all the diseases that the lady mentioned earlier. Hackay, again, the end point. Again, another cowboy town. I'd been to Hackay. I have an actual little hut or house in Hackay, and it's right on the border. So it's probably 10 miles away from the border mark. And when I got there at this end, again, I'm not glorifying it, but the violence of that area, and that a person was stabbed, and the military, the centre front, who I was always worried about, they literally paraded the person, dead body around, and the person who killed him. So, but they'd seen me, I'd make connections, and they'd know, oh, Daniel, the crazy English person's back, and I'd use a lady called Beatrice's house, and I'd always, as long as you've got the local connections and you keep yourself to yourself and don't interfere with the work that people are doing out there, then it's an experience. Yeah. The culture, again, the culture of the Choco, it's a lot of, historically it's escaped slaves. So it's every single one of them are built like Auntie Joshua when you're out there, and there's a real traditional thing they do called baldo pasajeros, and they're all and I mean, the moment you get a picture of these, you'd be in National Geographic, and they tie made bamboo chairs around their head, and they carry the elderly back to front over the mountains. They literally do that all day. The baldo pasajero. So the culture, it's and that says it's soy, which is I am, and it just references the Afro Indian culture, the Amerindian culture, which is Wunan, and the artist at the bottom when they did it, which says Jurado Frontera, the border of Jurado, protect the frontera, protect the border, protect the jungle, and ocean of peace. So they are trying to reform it in a sense, but the groups are fully in control. Each year I have been, 2020, 2021, then 22 when the trip. 2020, the Gulf Clan, which is a paramilitary, right-wing paramilitary, they was in charge at that time. Then 2021, the ELN, which is the Liberation National Army, who is a freedom army, they're left-wing ideologists, they was in charge. And when I went back, the 2022, the Gulf Clan, which is more of the narco-traffickers paramilitary, who was in charge, and they're the ones that I had to get permission off, and we'll get into that in a sec. Challenges, this is a bit of a screen, but it is number of challenges that come to mind straight away. Logistical challenges of the Darien Gap. It would have been river crossings, like that mentioned, 7 river crossings on the first day. And that was, if I could relive it, I wouldn't go back to Darien Gap unless they paid me ridiculous amounts of money. But if I could do it again, I'd train walking across and up rivers, because that took it out of you, and it was just constant for 7 hours a day in the river. The weather, again, every single day, torrential rain at 30 degrees and 95 humidity. Clothing, after a long day, I mean, a few of you've probably seen it up here and down the hills. You've been up the hills and you've soaked through. First thing you want to do is strip down, dry clothes. But 5 days in the jungle, soaking boots, your bed clothes are soaked through, your hammock soaked through, and you now need to get into, after the issues I had with my feet, my back, all my muscles spasming, getting into soaking clothes, which was just, it's really hard to block out, but again, that'll stick with me forever. The state, again, a really massive logistical challenge historically. 2 times that it failed, which was mentioned on the bit you did see. The first time it was the military who just took my passport off me, because you could hear the fighting within the jungle, and the military was up and down the street in Jurado, and they took my passport off me and told me, no, you have to catch a boat tomorrow to Panama. So they'd catch a boat and you'd go around the safe route, and they'd send an armed guard with me as well, which was frustrating. Because again, it was by that time it was 4 years planning it, and I was back and forward, spent so much money on it. But the last time, 2022, when it was a success, I was literally in Jurado for 10 days, didn't leave the house, and let's say the house is the top of somebody's house, which is a tiny little room, and I was just paying him £6 a day to use it. And I hid from the military, hid from the soldiers, and the only person I communicated was with Marlon, the black dude there, my fixer, and he was paramount for 3 years. I'd kept in contact with him, and he's the one who connected me with the groups, and I'd give him the money. I would never give the money to the cartels. I would always give it to him in a little meeting room, and he would then hand it to one of the leaders of the area. And the one guy in the cartel, he'd always stick out to me. A bucket hat. Well, he had earrings on it. He had about 500 earrings just pierced around it, and again, his face is just pierced into my mind. But yeah, it was his pal, and he would just pay the money what I needed to pay, which then brings me on to the next challenge. When I was speaking about Carlos Villalon, who took that picture of the skull, he was telling me, oh, you'd pay the cartel about 400, 500 quid. So I'm thinking, yeah, that's sound to me. I'm happy with that. Got there, and they're like, no, 1,500. And literally, that's exactly how much I had when I was in Jurado, and you'd have to travel 3 days before you could go to another bank, because you'd go back on yourself, and to be fair, most of the time it wouldn't actually work. They'd have to bring the money in from the capital city, Bogota or Medellin. Oh, really?
Well, that was probably nothing.
Oh, really? Another one that'll stick out. When I got abandoned by the guide in Colombia, in the Darien, he again expressed that he would get arrested if he went to the Panama border. And I couldn't really argue with that, because there was a little fella had a giant machete, and I couldn't really row and say, no, I need your advice. He literally gave me directions: bottom of this hill, bottom of the Loma, which is a very Colombian slang, say hill, turn right up the river, follow that river for 2 more days, and that's Jaque. And everything just looks the same, all the rivers look the same. And I was literally lost for 2 days walking down a tiny little stream, which is when I found the big stream, and that's when I was half crying, saying, and then I found that little fisherman. But yeah, they're the major logistics. And of course the river crossings, crocodile bottom left, and me attempting a river crossing. So you'd have to kind of recce the river before you'd even consider it. And the faster flowing, the less crocodiles, but the faster flowing, the more risk for you. So it's a wade up, and I nearly got swept down the river several times. Yeah, next slide. So these are the challenges that I've mentioned, and this is a update on how I overcome it. Now, I think.
So, anybody got any questions before at all? Anybody want to desire to ask Dan a question at all? Anybody? No, sounds good. I like that. Dan, how's life now then? How's life in the life of Dan? After, you're just about to go out to South America. for however long. Not too long, because I need you back here working with space. But how are you now? Where's your mindset? Where are you?
I think that took a lot of. I mean, I was dreaming about the Darien Gap. I was thinking about the Darien Gap every single waking moment. I was thinking, because it took so much. I was so focused on it. I sacrificed work stuff for it. It was just a sole mission or focus of mine. But now, once I've done that, I just want to step it up each time. And I've been looking at other places, and I've settled for another place. But I just always want to step it up, and I always try and find the hardest challenge. But in myself, I'm glad, and I'll be forever glad that I've done that. But again, like I say, you'd never get me there again.
Bad enough trying to get me up here. But what are your family views? Your mum and I know, mum's always ringing you. You're going away.
Yeah, I hide a lot of the information or the research. Social media, I have to share that because that's like a big element of the adventure planning or the expedition. But I got 3 siblings, 11 nephews and nieces, my mum and dad, and I mean, the kids think I'm brilliant. They think I'm the coolest person on the planet, which is, I'm happy with that. They all do homework or write a story about me, happy days. But the family hate it. But again, they understand, like, I've got no kids, I've got no mortgage. If I focus so much on the project, I think I'll be doing this for as long as I can't walk.
Well, hopefully for much longer. Young people, then, we always talk about trying to develop young people, and obviously a lot of people in this room have got young people in their lives. What could they advise them to do? I'm not telling you to go home and try to jump on a plane and go to South America, but what advice would you give?
I think you just goal orientated. They've got to have a focus on something, whatever that may be that fucking a degree, be that a job they want, be that whatever they're passionate about. Push it at every opportunity, and get off computers.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Can I just ask you, are you sponsored then for all this, or do you care for your private?
Everything, because I've got 2 jobs. Well, I don't have 2 jobs no more because I sacked it off last week. But I work with the fire service. I cover 6 brigades within the fire service in the UK, and I manage a team of people in London who disrupt exploitation of kids in gangs. But that's the only way I finance it. But the people that, like I say, on my t-shirt, and they sponsor me in a sense. They provide services. Like, I've got search and rescue services that I supported. Pete's done a lot for me, Spencer Talk. But on the finance side, it's really hard. I mean, I'm not the most creative person, and I'd love to be able to reach out to people in a nice email, but it's so hard. I mean, you could just, my punctuality is just, but it's approaching and getting in front of the right people. That's a big task in expeditions, adventures, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
One of the questions I get asked a lot, Dan, is your background, because obviously you have a bit of a background, don't you?
Yeah.
As a young man?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Birmingham, riff-raff, really. Got into a bit of trouble, but I'd always like I say, my first job was the zoo, and I loved it. I always aimed for something, but like in my area, it's a productive environment. I mean, I got it was just bad, but once I realised, probably 17, 18, that there's a lot more to it, and that I can do the things that I've always thought about, then my whole direction of life changed.
So, there's a word on the screen there, and that's obviously, does anybody speak Spanish here at all? Anybody know what that means? Lucky I know Dan. Dan's
it's descansar, which is rest or break.
So we're going to take the opportunity for. Sorry. Yeah.
Just a question.
Yeah.
After you've done that, your adrenaline would have been sky high.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to come back to normal?
I mean,
did you find there was a massive hole after this?
Yeah, it took so much of my life, and I didn't speak to the family for 10 days because I didn't have communication, and they initiated the embassy. My brother got in touch with the embassy. I was getting at about 500 missed calls off the consulate on my phone. It's not working in the jungle. My satellite phone weren't working. So once I finally got through to my family, when I opened up on the river, I started breaking down. Got in touch with the journalist back in Colombia, so he wouldn't start the protocols in a sense. But yeah, it's just I've done that, and it's like I say, what can I do next?
Yeah.
I always want to do the next thing because I'm proud of myself, but like I say, you got one life, and I just want experiences. There's enough questions. But yeah, that's the question.
Yeah.
Inspired you to do
This trip.
Yeah, that trip in particular.
I watched a film probably 2014, 2015, and tonight watch it if you can get it on pirate or a legitimate website. Called The Darien Gap, and it's about a guy who wanted to travel. I think he was stood up at his wedding, and he just travelled down South America. And when he got to Panama, he found about the Darien Gap, and you couldn't travel no further. And then he ended up trying to travel through the Darien Gap, and he ended up bumping into all the cartels, and he had a massive party with all the cartels. But it gave me context to the Darien, and since then, I just started researching, read every book on the Darien, got in touch with people that have attempted it, got in touch with a man called Blashford Snell. He did it in the 70s with army engineer called about 70 of them. I've met him a few times, just getting information. But I think whatever I do, be that a 10-mile run, be that a travel, if I want to travel to a difficult country, which is Colombia, then I want to travel to the difficultest place in Colombia, which is the Darien Gap, I just think. And it's not foolhardy, it's just, I just want an experience. And if I see someone says, no, you can't go there, with it, and he's got a gun, yes, I mate, no problem. I wouldn't like be foolhardy, but I think that literally brought it to the forefront. And the initial plan was going Panama to Colombia originally, but that didn't work out for several reasons. yeah.
Did you carry a firearm yourself?
Nah. I was offered it several times, but I think it's so easy to get it in Colombia, and you see them walking around with it. You get one for 50 quid if I wanted one. But then, again, if I came across the two cartels, which they were part of Gulf Clan, they would have seen me with a firearm straight away. DEA, straight away, you're British Army, straight away. Then that's a different dynamic. Then I have to try and, if I just act like a daft tourist, I'm lost. Then I think, and with a nice smile, and they just think I'm an idiot, which is what I want. Not what I want. Yeah.
Daft tourist.
Yeah.
The first trip you've done, am I right in thinking you didn't have any support whatsoever?
Nah, literally, ITV covered it in 2019, but that was literally, and I saved up like a lunatic for 2 years to do it, and good job I did, because of the
and this time you've got the support of the
there's a few organisations, so they're providing services, as in like, they provide medic kit, they provide search and rescue cover, security, risk assessments.
Must make you feel
a little bit. And when my brother told my mum, "Oh, Daniel's now got a search and rescue people that'll be on him from Canary Wharf in London," I think my mum's anxiety dropped a little bit.
So you got it for your mum then?
Yeah. So, all right. But yeah, they weren't a part of it. The Darien Gap, they weren't. I didn't have no.
You mentioned the word foolhardy before. Would that be fair?
Nah, I think I understand fear, and I know that's stupid to go and jump off a cliff because something's going to happen. And if a guy approaches me with a gun, sound, tell me what the rules. Yeah, sound, not an issue. I've spent time in favelas in Brazil, teaching boxing with all these really kids, 10-year-olds walking around with AK-47s, and that was a high risk situation. And they told me this is how I behave. Yeah, sound, not a problem. I do every single check I can possibly do to make it, and it's not because it's a dangerous place. I mean, it's just an adventure. I mean, if an adventure takes me to the top of Scotland and back, I'd do that. I just got a mad focus on these.
A bit more dangerous up there, though.
Dan, I've got one question just from someone who couldn't be here, so I wanted to ask. The checks are out online, and they made up in their own head that there was some sort of like unhealthy obsession with cartel country and a lot of South America. Is there anything in that?
No, I think I was looking at. I've only gone back to South America because of my Spanish. I was looking at trips to Pakistan, I was looking at trips to Papua New Guinea. I have literally itineraries for PNG, I have itineraries for Pakistan, the Congo, but I think because of my Spanish, I kind of just reverted back because Pakistan's a whole new language, Papua New Guinea's the 300 odd languages in that country, the Congo, the different language. I think that's what brings me back because I can utilise more skills. It just makes it a little bit easier. And again, the contacts that I've got there, because where I'm starting, the government said you can't go there, but when I got in touch with the tribal indigenous community leaders, they're like, yeah, sound, no problem, just as long as you put money back into our economy or our community. But, yeah.
You could go to Benidorm, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm just talking about there.
A little bit more dangerous. Anybody else? So what we're going to do now, guys, is take a 5-minute break, so you can, you have a comfort break, etc., and refresh your glasses, and we'll be back in 5-10 minutes. What's the time now? 8:05 would be nice, if that's good. See you soon.
We don't mess about us. They seem to know what we're doing. You've been through it, mate. You've been through it, ain't you?
Yeah, right.
Been on the deck.
Yeah.
Twice, like.
Yeah.
Dug deep and.
I mean, some of the places, you know, just. Like last time I told on my foot, and my left calf was just spasming for like 3 days. I thought I got bit by something, but dude, he was just screwed.
You just got to keep going. You're an option, okay? You can't roll back.
Again, obviously still there.
I bet it was a relief to see that guy on the side of the river.
I got a video of him coming over and I'm recording. What's his name, mate? But I said, nah, we can't use that.
I'm just going to pop all
So it's nicking.
Never had that much power when I was in uniform. So, that's our first break. We have got a second break because there's some other bits and pieces we've got going on that Dan doesn't know about, so I'll come back to that in a while. This this pack, you might have seen this pack, you know, we've got a member of the audience here that used to be in the powers, and he used to dream of carrying these things. Now, I'm not going to say this is what Dan carries around inside. And I've seen him carrying this up the fell here, and when he actually runs with it. When we went up the sidings, he actually ran to catch me up with this on his back, and I can't even lift it up. But I thought what would be interesting, and it's a bit of a challenge to Dan, is just to show you guys some of the stuff he carries in there. It's not just full of cake and alcohol. It actually has a little bit more. He has polo mints as well. So Dan, if you could just tell us some of the stuff that you've got and that is basically keeping him alive whilst he's away in South America, because apart from his satellite links and the contacts he's got, his extraction team, myself back in UK, the other teams, his PR team, and a few people who are all volunteers that supported him. What you've got in your houses at home, this is what this guy has in his bag whilst he's away for how long he could be away from. So I just thought it'd be good for you to show the audience some of the stuff and talk us through some of the stuff?
Yeah. So this is probably one of the most important, if not the most important, filter bottles. And I've drank it out of the Amazon River with this bottle, and it filters. You can put a glass of Coke in it, and it comes out pure water. So it'll last about 10,000 refills. But yeah, that is a discipline that I'd say to myself every single 20 minutes. I'd drink half of the bottle. But yeah, so I've got 2 of them, and the filters should never ever run out in the time that I'm away. So I've got a few spare back home, but yeah, 2 filter bottles. Waters a Go, which is, I've had them for years. This one I've had probably 7 years. The bottle alone, the filters have changed, of course. But yeah, and the filter bottles, one of the, if not the most important. Head torches. I have 2, 3 in this bag, all backup, and then an extra backup on that backup. Paracord, side pockets, which I very rarely use. I would just stash food in them. When I go when I'm in Colombia, I'd buy local food and I'd just put them in there and I'd attach them to the side, which would probably add another few kilos. 2 little bits of electronic devices. So this is GPS device. So this is all, you can't get very good maps of where I go, but it's all bird's eye view. So I see a lot of the colour green. I can literally see a contour of the river, and I would just follow the river. That's the most complex mapping or topography in what you can get. This one turns my phone into a satellite phone, so I can make phone calls once my phone's connected to this, and make text messages, and it's a tracker as well. So I can put this onto 2-minute coordinates, so every 2 minutes it sends to the team. So Peter's part of that, and there's 7 other people that will get that, and the search and rescue team. So it's every 2 minutes.
Is that by your satellite?
Yeah, yeah. Garmin, InReach, so both Garmin devices, and I can't fault Garmin. Even my watch is Garmin.
When you are, like when you got on the second half of that trip that you were on, and your guide had gone, how do you navigate?
It literally, I was screwed. Like I found a river on this, and I just made a bearing for the river. I was chopping my way through the jungle, and I found a little stream. Then I followed this small stream, and that led to the Hake River. So this literally probably saved my life when I was in Colombia, Panama. I just found a tiny stream on the satellite, made a beeline for it, and then that led to a larger river. But yeah, I've got some.
How long did it last?
This, and you put it onto expedition mode, it'll probably 4 weeks, and then you can recharge that. And I'll do a lot of stuff through solar charging. So I charge power banks, which then I'll charge the gear from the power banks. Yeah. A bucket hat for the sun.
Very useful in Cumbria, I believe.
Just a pouch of where I can keep my documents, which passport and that sort of stuff. Supposed to be waterproof, but it's not.
I was surprised Dan to do this. I just thought, you know what, let's see what's in this bag. Because I'm as fascinated as you what's in there.
Again, I've had this for several years as well. It's like a tiny little fire kit. So I'll have lighter. A little fishing settle and my utensils. But yeah, in the fire kit is paraffin, and a new thing that I've recently been using is pine. So it's dried pine. You can literally chop that down, and it'll pick up fire as quick as possible. And paraffin, of course, it stinks. So, but yeah, I need a bit more of that. But that should last me quite a lot to set up fire, and I'll just literally have a fire, warm the food up, whatever.
Just scrape a couple of shavings.
Yeah, it burns for quite a while.
Where do you get them from, Don?
I did a rope course, and a guy who told me about them. You get them online, he sent me the link and everything, but they're bang on now. And I've used them. It was my birthday a couple of weeks ago, so I went up to the Welsh border and I tested it out, hammering down a rain. Perfect. Yeah.
Did you do that as a birthday treat, did you say?
Yeah. 2 days up in the Welsh Hills, brilliant. Every single birthday I've done something. Yeah. And I tried to coax people in to do, like last year I got my brother tabbing penny fan.
As you do.
And he's as fit as you get, like I say, he's a boxer, but yeah, it was a good experience. So yeah, first aid kit, tourniquets, iodine, and Israeli bandages, and another little one that I would attach that'll be on me at all times, that will. So if I do lose my bag, it'll be in my side pocket, and if I get swept down a river, I've still got that. Yeah.
One of the things I noticed in the first aid patch, which was like, oh, he's got a shotgun pad or patch.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Which is quite a, you know.
Oh, that was for the focus of last year's trip there in Gap. I will highly doubt I will come across Cartels this time, but yeah, it's a chest seal. So, and there's like minefields and everything that we had to go. I came across one minefield when I was in Darien because the Cartels, they grow the coke and they would just line it with mines. So just make a wiper around that. But yeah, and antibiotics in here. Clothes. 2 changes of clothes is what I take when I'm in the jungle, literally. So this is one part of it. I'd go with normal clothes when I'm wandering around the city. But yeah, there's 2 changes of clothes in there, and I'd just milk it. 4 weeks I'd be in the same set, and then I'd change. And as soon as I get to a little village, I'd change it over. But yeah, 2 sets of clothes.
So much stuff.
Are you watching this, girl?
This is just a little setup of it's like a little studio, so I've got my cameras and my documentary stuff. 360 camera, which is, I'm going to try and use this a lot this trip. I'll attach it to the boat for the next trip, but yeah, 360 camera. Audio recording, and another camera, which I'm going to have like a selfie one and a cinematic one for the nicer views.
So you're becoming a lot more reliant on your power packs. If you
yeah, and they're so good now in comparison to 6 years ago. I mean, now they last forever. That one what I've got there. That probably, if I could attach it to my house, it would probably power my house. Drone again, essential. Drone. Not for survival, but documenting the trip. Because when this is, people need to. Oh, you've done that. That's great. When you show them bird's eye view of just 70 miles in that direction, jungle. 100 miles in that direction, the Pacific Ocean, it just brings a different dynamic. But yeah, I should have got that out today, but it's a bit
So you've trained on that?
Yeah, so I did used to do a bit of work with it, but because there's so many people now that have them, it's you need to, it's like who you know, really. So again, little power bank setup, it's all my cables and stuff in there, little notepad pen.
And this is just for showing up Penny Fan, by the way.
This is the latest skill I think that I've learned. A bit of rope stuff, and this is 30 meters of rope, and it'd be able to tow a ton. This could, and it's just a form of. On the next trip, there's going to be quite a few high banks across the river, and it'll be me being able to haul my boat up with all the extra kit that I've got here. Okay, anyone know much about rope work? Because 7-to-1 pulley system. Yeah, I know it's overkill. Yeah. So it's a really good skill that I learned by a guy, ex-forces, and this is a 7-to-1 pulley system. So I'd attach this to an anchor system, this will be to the boat to that, and then I can literally pull a car with one hand, a 7-to-1 pulley system, and you change it around, and you can make it to an 8-to-1 pulley system as well. But yeah, that's brilliant. That is.
Everybody should have one of them.
Yeah, they're wicked. They're wicked.
I thought that's what the girls had in their handbags.
Yeah. And then just the sleep stuff in here, which is a hammock, which typically I could get out, but it's quite big. If I had a bit of time, I could have tied it up. But yeah, sleep system at the bottom, which is a jungle sleeping bag, really fine, and a hammock, which has got its own mosquito net and everything. But I can get that out afterwards and show you if you want. But yeah, so that's it.
Which I'm quite amazed, really. You've got all that equipment, and for the ladies in the room, he's only got 2 sets of clothing and no shoes. Which brings me on to that. I mean, you've got boots, obviously. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Why do you keep saying for the ladies?
Well, I'll say and the men then. Sorry.
Yeah, that's it.
And others. Boots-wise, and what do you do with your boot-wise?
So these are the ones that I will be wearing. I've had these several years, and they're solid. Lower, but yeah, these are the best boots I could get, and they're jungle specific. The water can drain through them, but yeah, look after my boots and I should be alright.
So do you have 2 pairs or just one pair?
Just the one.
Just one pair.
Yeah.
Just one pair of socks.
2 pairs of socks.
Luxury.
The other pair with his toenails in them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to go on to the next bit of the. So.
Oh, it's in just referencing the learning points that I've learned over the time that I've been doing it. Persistence, especially on the Darien trip, 5 years, 5 trips to Colombia, 4 trips to Panama. I think it goes without saying, persistence to any goal-orientated thing is gonna pay off hugely. And that is a rat snake. That was in Southeast Asia. I went for a wedding, and I got bored of the wedding, and I took my mum up a mountain, and then I went reptile catching. My mum, if she was here now, she'd say it was the best time of her life. But yes, expect the unexpected. This is a abandoned hut that I found, which I would imagine the groups would have built. But yeah, that was in yeah. So female wolf spider, probably as big as my hand, with a nest sack. Yeah, and I learned that quick. Expect the unexpected. That was on my bed. Yeah. And patience again. That was a specific trip on one of the recce trips I did, and they told me there was crocodiles close by. So me being me, I said, yeah, I want to go and try and see if I can get a good picture of them. 9 hours it took me to get that picture. I was in a little hut. I was sitting, getting eaten alive by mosquitoes and all kinds of spiders. But yeah, patience. Again, patience, waiting 10 days to hide away from the military, the soldiers. And again, that paid off. Patience, persistence, and expect the unexpected, I think, are the biggest learning points that I've had throughout the trip that I've done. Where I am now, so like I say, 10 years doing adventure trips like this, 4 years probably taking it very seriously, social media wise. I should have probably did it a bit sooner. But on my 18th birthday, my first job, best job I ever had, was local zoo. I got a tax back for them, 800 quid. Thought I was rich at 17. Booked a flight to Sumatra on early January, and I turned 18th in the Sumatran jungle with my 3 guides, Wanda, Bendy and Ping, and that was their names. So, yeah. 21st, I was in the Alta Peninsula in Costa Rica, looking for American crocodiles, didn't find any. But yeah, 21st, and I remember it because it was a massive party when I realised I was 21 in Costa Rica. Costa Rica is probably one of my favourite places in regards to just the night, the beauty of it. On my 25th birthday, I was canoeing the Essequibo River in Guyana. That's the 3rd longest river in South America and the longest in Guyana. And me and my guide, that took me a few years to plan as well. And I bought a dugout canoe off a local guide, and it was Campbell and James. There were 2 guides. Campbell being the son, James being the dad, and they both asked me a number of weird questions, as in I think the lack of understanding of the outside world. The son asked me if dinosaurs still existed. These are the people, they're still walking around with bow and arrows and living off the land. And the dad asked me if polar bears lived in England, because they had a magazine from the 80s, the National Geographic magazine. Yeah.
When you say dugout canoe, is that from
yeah, it was wood called angel wood. It's a big tree, and they'd chop it down. His granddad used it, and we had paddles, which was crab wood, or wood called green heart. And every time you get it wet, it just turns bright green. Yeah, really nice. And that was good. Some of the folklore of the Guyanese traditions, they believe in vampires and all sorts. But yeah, not so long ago, when a lot of planes were grounded because of COVID, I brought a cheap bike and I cycled from Birmingham to Spain. I was the closest I'd been to probably death, I'd imagine, if you could say that. I literally had hypothermia south of France, chucking down around for 4 days. No hotels were taking bookings because it's COVID, and I'm out in the elements on my push bike. But yeah, and before I was 30, I crossed the Darien Gap again, the world's most dangerous jungle or border region, and that the first 100 searches on Google will tell you that. But yeah, I crossed it 2 years ago. So next, and another rest. Yeah.
So if anybody wants to take a quick break, if you can, or you don't have to, if you want to, we've got to. I've got to go and just nip out and grab something to bring in a while, and then I'll bring in the standards know about, and then we'll be back for the last bit. So 5 minutes, guys, if that's okay with you guys in the audience. Just recharge your glasses, and we'll see you in 5 minutes.
Yeah, have a look at all this gear if you want.
Yeah, do come down and have a look at some of the equipment, Dan. If you want to ask some questions.
You can show the Cartels.
Oh, we take them off.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you don't have to
show that camera.
He hasn't got the kitchen sink.
Where you going?
Not here.
Where you going in?
Hey?
Where you going in?
Where's your toiletries?
I have olive oil soap. That's literally all I have.
Just olive oil.
There is toothpaste in the
Razor.
Yeah. This is a little toothbrush.
That's your tooth. How do you get bigger than that?
Yeah, I just limit weight. Literally, I'll get something and I would just make my own packaging. Like the hammock came in a great packet, but I just compress it. The sleeping bag came in a great packet, but I just compress it. The rope, I have to tie it up a certain way.
So where's your power pack for charge? How do you? So you don't need to recharge once you're out.
Yeah, so the solar panel.
Solar panel.
So I would attach that to the back of my bag.
Right.
I would charge the power bank from that, from a wire, and then I would charge the gear from this or that one. Yeah. This one, or this. I mean, I've had it a couple of years now. 15 watt.
And you know the sun
and this one is just, I keep this power bank just after the phone, I charge my phone all the time maybe. Yeah. Yeah, so and it's just connected through Bluetooth. I literally tested it the other day, texted my brother, is it working? Is it working? He's like, yeah, it's working. And I've got to do an emergency test tomorrow with the organisation to make sure the SOS system is working. It's such a clever app as well from NGS. You can literally have a country profile and you can see all the incidents happening in that country by a minute. This is happening, the riot now and all that. Yeah, so Now, he's not like that. You can send a tweet, but you couldn't browse it. Send a tweet for 120 character and it tracks you as lower elite jungle. Again, it's so good. And I could send them on here. We told them, which I probably will do. These are probably the last trick on the at that point. Brilliant, I've had them, yeah.
She's trying to get in.
Like a raffle ticket.
How much are they?
Eh?
Well,
It's 50p each.
a couple of them, eh?
Aye.
Did you give me a raffle ticket or not?
No, I put them in the tub and then...
Oh, right.
Oh, of course, no. I'm doing that wrong, actually.
No, I think it's just Elliot. Oh, it's from there.
Yeah. So sort of in Julian to look back somewhere.
Did you see him?
Briefly, yeah, but I'll help with me.
Well, I told you, we had to use the password to say what time we are starting.
They're going to see if I can give a prize to you.
Right. Everybody back in the room, as they say. What I want to do, first apologise for the people at the back that can't really hear us. We do apologise. We do have an amplifier and microphones, but it's not with us today because I forgot to put it in the van, so I do apologise. So I can't remember everything. What I want to do, take this opportunity to say to everybody is we come up to Cumbria quite a lot. We're here, as I say, 7, 8 months. And as we've grown with our business, and we're not a charity, we're a CIC, so we depend on either companies giving us money, people giving us money, all the rest of it. But we do also have lottery funding. And this year, when we got the lottery funding and we got £10,000 from the lottery, we then decided Cumbria was the place we wanted to come. And the reason we wanted to come up here is there's a gentleman that some of you know, some of you may not know, lives in a house, small little gaff to the side of the building here. And he has a friendship with the other co-director that you saw on the TV screen. And so this gentleman's got a good experience within the British Army when he was in the British Army. And after working with him, and I only met him earlier this year, I went back to the board and said, I think really we should get this guy on board because A, he's a good guy. He always buys me a beer, which is not a bad thing. And thirdly, he's very skilled in what he does and he's very knowledgeable. And for younger people, he would be an asset to look up to because he joined the British Army, he was a paratrooper. He did one thing, I was in the Air Force, we flew planes, this guy jumps out of planes with a little bit of silk, which for me is, okay, if that's what you want to do. So I wanted to introduce him to you, which is young Rod Stevenson, sat in the front. We get a little bit embarrassed about being introduced, but well, come on, please. And we, I think you've got a little bit of a thing to give to Dan in a while, but if you want to say anything to the audience, please feel free to.
It's trying to blow smoke up my arse, I suppose, most of you know. But you know, this guy was an SAS instructor, you know, he does know what he's talking about, and he's a pretty experienced bloke. And these guys have come up and they're doing a good thing, supporting our village hall, they're doing a good thing for mental health. and I'm quite supportive. It's just by default that we've got together because a boy, Keith, who I served with, came up for a weekend, and it all just came from there really. So we'll run with it as long as it goes. And I've just got an offering for Dan. Just a personal offering. It's just a bit of a daft thing really, but this is something I used to wear on my belt kit back in the day, and I haven't used it for 30 years. But I think he might have more of a use for it than I have. It's an original Gurkha cookery. We'll sharpen it up, Dan, before you go, but like I said, I haven't used it for 30 years, so you might as well have it, mate.
Serious?
Yeah. So
you know,
I wish you the best of luck, boy.
Oh, thank you.
So that was a little surprise, I'm sure. I've never seen him stuck for words. The man from the Midlands stuck for words.
I appreciate that, Rod.
You can leave it with me, I don't think
You've got to get it through customs first.
I will have to wrap that up and put it in the hole. The Colombian military love that, wouldn't they?
So we got on to the last stage, and this is the most important part of the evening. This is what Dan's going to do now and where he's going, and he had this clip put together, and I'll just let the clip play because it actually says everything about it. I'll let you talk yourself through that, Dan.
This is the trajectory of the route that's planned, so this is the entirety of the Rio Negro, so you can press play.
Your arms are going to be tired, Dan.
Yeah. It just continues. It continues. And the next clip does give it some more context. So it's a start Colombia, Venezuela and Brazil, and it's gonna say 50 miles a day. It's going to probably take 3 months if everything goes swimmingly. But the next clip does give it a lot more context. So yeah.
And you may have noticed we've got 3 flags actually that we've got displayed. And Dan will tell
Colombia
you.
is the start point at the far left. In Venezuela, I'll spend about 200 miles in Venezuela, which will probably be the most interesting country, but at the minute it's pretty hot. And then Brazil is the end point, which is here, and Brazil, party capital of the world, so I should be able to enjoy it when I get there.
You get there, right?
No, it's when he gets there.
I had some warnings. The best warning I have had, again, that Carlos Villalon, who helped me out in the Darien, he told me 2 years ago a friend of his was working in the area and he was shot at with bow and arrows by a traditional tribe. So that is what I've had to, that's one of the big risks that we were aware of. But yeah, continue please. I'm Daniel Egginton and I am an adventurer, but currently within the UK I work within the fire service and I work with preventing exploitation of young people in London. I've travelled a lot and the last 3-4 major expeditions or challenges I've done, I've canoed at Essequibo River in Guyana on a traditional dugout canoe where I had to source a local indigenous guide
and source a dugout canoe which I had to buy, which was older than me at the time when I bought it canoe, but it worked and it got us from A to B where we had to. We probably 2 days away from any medical care. That was a major expedition in Guyana. I cycled to Spain. In 2021 when everyone was in lockdown. The biggest expedition I have done, the biggest challenge, was this time last year. I just finished a crossing of the Darien Gap in Colombia, which is the border region of Colombia and Panama. It failed 2 times in the past due to issues, political issues and paramilitary and the lack of access to getting there, but last year it worked out. I hid from the community, the police, and I sought a local guide, and I got that trip done within 5 days, travelling to the western side of the Darien Gap. So the next expedition is a few notches above the previous ones. It's travelling the full length of a river in South America called the Rio Negro, which simply just means Black River, which is the darkest black water river in the world. It's about 1,400 miles long. Again, 3 months it's going to take me to fully complete the trip if all goes well.
Listen, you're putting your head into a bit of a hornet's nest there, but you know, be smart and have that evacuation plan if something goes wrong.
So I'll canoe and trek from the start point, which is the eastern part of Colombia, travelling all the way to the end point, which is in Manaus in Brazil. So the excitement is a mix of emotions when it's so close to an expedition, from fear to excitement. But I plan these trips in advance, sometimes 2 years in advance, and the excitement is always building. And this close to the trip, it's another expedition that's going to get ticked off, and it's going to be the first of its kind. The river itself has never been fully descended. It's unnavigable at huge amounts of its length, of its trajectory. But yeah, it's never been documented from start to finish. And the start point, which is in a national park in Colombia, has been closed to people from the outside world for years and years, never ever been opened. It's just stuck to the traditional ways of indigenous communities. They control it, they provide the laws, and they manage it. The way I want people to get involved is follow it, because the more people that are aware of the expedition, the more I'm going to get out of it, because at the end of it, I want to be able to present this knowledge to educational institutes, but it's my social media website, which is it's all just my name, Daniel Eggington, easy enough to follow, and the website as well, which is merchanttraveller.com.
So, ladies and gents, we can give you the link in if you want after. On your chairs there were a couple of cards, there were some Action for Happiness cards, space cards. Our email's on the bottom. If anybody wants to get in touch with Dan whilst he's away, if you can't remember that one, we can give it you today. You can always contact me. I'm in contact with Dan constantly whilst he's away. You know, I spend more time with Dan than I do with my wife, and he will be messaging me every time he can do. One of the things I felt was very important last time he went away was we had a situation where everything died, and Dan was, it tells me he was struggling somewhere, but I believe he was in a casino somewhere, enjoying himself, because he didn't contact me for a couple of weeks. Or when he did contact me eventually, he was like, thank God you were still alive, mate. You know, where have you been? So I think it's really good for follow, especially if you can encourage younger people to follow him and just say, come and have a look at what this guy's doing, because that's the reason why me as the Chief Inspector in the police took him on and said, right, I want you to come and tell my cadets what you're doing, so they can inspire to follow you in your steps. It's part of the evening where we're going to open the floor to you guys for question and answering time. You can ask me any questions, you can ask Dan any questions, and if you really want to talk to a para, you can ask Rod some questions. So, but has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask?
How are you going to manage this in terms of you saying some of the river isn't navigable?
So,
are you going to get different canoes? Or?
Yeah, so I've mapped out the river to, like, my route that I've planned is probably at 1,200 miles. It's not going to be the full, because I'm following the bends of the river, so it cuts it down as much as it can. And I've identified small, there's no drop, like large waterfalls on the river. There's rapids, and they do get wide, and there's no way I'll be able to get the canoe. But the distance is probably quarter of a mile. Say the rapid starts here, probably a quarter mile. So then that's this hauling system, and that's how I'd get the boat up and cut in 500 metres and then come back out the other side, which we did that in Guyana, and it took us all day to get.
So what sort of canoe are you using?
It'll be a dugout canoe, so that's because I love the trips that I do there. Every time I get there, they're all just carbon neutral straight away. So I'm walking, I'm buying local economy. I'll never book anything from here. It's a local tribe leader will sell me a canoe.
A carved out tree trunk.
Yeah.
That knife could come in handy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that.
Anybody else?
Are you scared, Dan?
Yeah, you got to have fear, or you just saft. I think the knowledge of like the wildlife of Latin America, that'll do me in good stead, because I can tell you there's a venomous snake there in the corner. I know it's venomous, but then it's more of the dodgier folk, I think, in that part of the world. It's not so much cartels on the Venezuelan, well, ELN probably on the Venezuelan border, but that part, because it's so remote, it's more gold miner factions, and again, they're just as it's illegal gold mining, and again, they've got to protect their income in a sense, and so that's probably the big thing. And obviously the tribes, supposedly aggressive, but.
So have you got a guide with you on this one?
I will get a guide from the beginning, but their local knowledge, the knowledge of the geography, can only go so far. They go 50 miles, and hopefully that's pushing it. To be fair, one person's knowledge 50 miles from his homeland, and then I'd get to the next village. So can you take me 2 days down the road, down the river, and that's how I think I'll do it. But if it's impossible, then I would just follow the river best as I can. Yeah.
One of the guys on the last talk asked us, Dan, why you use the tropics for your exploration and not the Arctic exploration.
I think it's the knowledge. I think of my knowledge of the tropical, especially South America. I mean, you put me in the Congo, I probably would be clueless. But South America, Brazil, Colombia, I spent so much time there. Guyana, I spent 15 days in the jungles in Guyana. I think the knowledge of that area, I think, goes me in good stead. You need a whole new knowledge base. You're going to the Arctic, you're going to the desert, and all this kit will be useless in the Arctic, in the desert. I think it's a whole new skill set, which I will get to eventually.
Is that a plan?
Yeah, I just want to. I've got trips planned out for years. Papua New Guinea is a good one. Again, parts of West Africa, Benin, Niger. They have like voodoo days. I just want to go and see just crazy things. But, yeah.
Going back to the trip, what do you focus on in low points? How do you get to them?
As in like the points, like my point of reference where I'm aiming for.
No, just when you're really, really struggling those days.
What do I draw? I literally, from the Colombia trip, and that's what I just talk to myself. I like, if it's raining, I'll keep repeating, it's flipping raining, it's flipping raining. I just kind of block things out, or I count, because then your brain's got one like focus. It's thinking about something, not about what may happen. That I'm thinking about right now. It's flipping raining, so I'm not thinking about that river that I've got across or that snake that I may tread on. When I see that, that's when I think, oh, that's what I want to try and figure out. The tribes, the cartels. If that happens, then I'll try and figure something out. Then there's no plan in the world that will be able to prevent you from coming across if that's what's going to happen. And just be honest if I come across dodgy folk. But yeah, I just focus on the moment, I think. Yeah.
Do you carry anything that you have to bribe anybody with?
Yeah. So I'll have, US dollars can go everywhere, but I'll have a t-shirt, which you've got like 4 different pockets. I'll have big notes here, small notes here, big notes here, small notes here. So if they say I want 200 quid, I'll get 200 quickly. There you go. Rather than rummage around in my wallet, there's like £500, I'll take it all, just £200. Yeah. And then I'll just act saff like, oh sorry, £200. Yeah, that's how I do it. Yeah.
I got across the Sahara and everything else. Worthington Originals. We never gave any money, but we give Worthington Originals away. To look nice.
Oh yeah, I'll take them as well.
I don't think you have room.
Yeah.
Are you going to come back and give us a crack when you get back?
Yeah. There's a permanent base here with Peter.
Yeah, the idea is when we get to down back safe and back into UK, and after he's degassed and sort of rehabilitated back to reality of life, we'll bring him up Cumbria and take him up the hill again. We're planning to do a follow-up sequence so you guys can then come back and go, wow, how's it doing? And he'll have a beard down to here. With some stories and some footage that we can show you, and he can share that experience with you guys, because now you've seen it at this end, it'd be nice to see it in 3 or 4 months time.
Don't do it too much though, because he's booked in for my talk night at Rotary next
Is
night.
It's going to be open to ladies.
Yeah.
But yeah, anybody else got any questions at all for Dan?
What's your food plan?
So I always take 4 days emergency rations, what the army would carry. So I would never use them unless I'm genuinely struggling. In that part of the world, piranhas, you can literally catch a piranha every day of the week. Every day of the week. And I've got a little fishing kit scattered amongst this. But yeah, you can literally catch piranhas. And we did, when I was in Guyana, catch piranhas. We was robbed by giant river otters. They literally got on there. They're bigger than Alsatians. They're like, no, have that piranha if you want it. But yeah, so it's fishing, relying on the local community, which I will come across communities. I think more so in Brazil, not so much Colombia, Venezuela. But yeah, piranha fishing.
Because you'll be burning a lot of calories.
Yeah. I got in touch with some performance training man, and he worked out how much calories I would be burning if I'm doing 15 miles a day on a rower.
And how much is it?
More than I eat. Yeah, it's like 4,000, something stupid. Yeah. So
when you come across these villages and these local communities, I mean, what do they make of you?
Baffled. The cartels, when I come across them and they're all walking around with like out of movies, they quiz you, question you. They'll call you like crazy gringo, but the traditional indigenous communities, they're humble, they're baffled, like they want to talk to you as much as you want to talk to them, because they're as inquisitive as I am about them. They will speak a different language as well. They've got several different traditional languages, so I think that'll be a struggle, but I've got a pen and paper, diagram. Yeah.
So what's the best way to follow your progress?
It's literally just on social media. On my website, merchanttraveller.com, there will be an embedded map as well. So it'll be like a live map of my coordinates each time I coordinate. But I've got people who know more about marketing than I do, who will be hopefully managing my social media and putting pictures up. But there's a photographer that'll be with me for 5 days. He's a local journalist in Colombia, and he'll send pictures to them and Pete and everyone, just so I can.
You're filming yourself as well?
Yeah, through the GoPro and the camera.
And you put that on Instagram or something? Yeah. I'm gonna try and I'll constantly be sharing stuff, but I want to try and get it, like I say, produced on a professional level afterwards, and then pitch it to outdoor festivals and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'll always be sharing little snippets here and there.
You mentioned the carbon neutral.
Yeah.
Get on the trip, is that a big driver for you?
I don't think I can preach a way if I don't practice what I preach. So I mean, I don't drive. I haven't driven for a while. It's not that I don't, because it's essential that you do need it. But I've got a driving license, but I haven't driven for 5-6 years. But it's just, I think, practice what I preach. I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Does it ever get into your head that I could die?
Yeah. One of my recce trips.
What is your procedure when that?
Yeah, I'll give you one example. As in, one of my recce trips to Colombia, I was trying to do a route when I cut all my hands, and it was I was trying to do a route that was so close to the coast, but it was quite sheer, and the coast was coming into the cliffs, so I couldn't really go on that. So I had to cut into the jungle, maybe 500 meters, and cut back around, and I fell down the cliff, and I would have fell in the ocean. And my this bag attached onto a branch, and I was there 15-20 minutes thinking if I pop the bag, then my bag's going that way and I'm going that way, and that was a close call in a sense. Where my mind goes, it's I think it's more to the family. I mean, we've got a close family. I think I'm in a selfish sense, I think it would affect the family more than it would me. I'm doing that because I want to do it, but like I say, at that moment, that's when I focus on geez, this genuinely could happen.
So there's never a plan, do you?
No, I've got a little will, but it's more very sarcastic, and it's more. It's
like I genuinely do a will.
now.
Yeah, exactly. No, I've got like a will that's if the worst case scenario is as sarcastic as anything. It's like me just saying my brother should have brought me a big lens so I didn't get close enough to the crocodiles or something. Just try and make people laugh. But yeah, morbid as that is, but yeah, I want people to laugh if it happens. Sorry.
You say you have a backup of extraction team. Where are they based and how does that
They're based in Canary Wharf in London,
right.
And I went and met them 2 weeks ago, and it's genuinely through that little, wherever it may be, you click a SOS button and it goes up to them, and I've also have like a 5-hour tier. If I don't contact or check them in for 5 hours, then they initiate the rest of the process, and they've got assets in Venezuela, Colombia and Brazil. It's just
so there's local assets out there.
Yeah. It's extortion, as in the insurance side of things, which I've had to pay, which is just ridiculous. Search and rescue, kidnap, ransom, insurance is ridiculous. But yeah, they're on board, which is giving my mum a respite as well. I think professionals will come out. Yeah.
Don't pay the ransom.
Anything for anybody else? Excellent. Well, no, it's on to raffle prize time then, because I'm aware of the time. So we'll ask Dan to pick one out, because watch out for spider. And
200.
Number 200. I'll bring it to you. I'll bring it to you. You got a wonderful little space pen, a journal to document Dan's trip, and a Sugar Happiness badge. Second one. Well, in fact, I'll go to you so you can. We've got multitask now. Oh, thank you. So the second number is 194.
You tried.
Okay.
I can't catch.
You can't catch, no. If I could ask you to pass that to the lady. You've got a snooder, water bottle.
You've got first prize if you go with him.
And the last one is the diary, another snood and a pen. These snoods are in big demand. Wide have made a point that I couldn't stay with him unless I bought a snood up, so they're in big demand. Before I do the last one, I just want to thank this gentleman here who's organised all this for us, who sits in the background, doesn't say anything to anybody, texts me on WhatsApp, we talk frequently, picked us up this morning, took us for breakfast. We've been planning this now for a couple of months, haven't we? He is part of the Rotary, and they do a really good job within the community. I speak down in the Rotary down south as well. And so I just want to say thank you. But I want to give you the opportunity to choose the last.
Oh, thank you very much. I feel very honoured.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. 217.
217. Oh, the snood and a diary. Excellent, sir. So, for me, that's everything that we've got to do this evening. I believe if you want to stay behind, there's the bar's open. I can have a drink now. Thank you for coming, and thank you for letting us. Thank you for letting us share your life, your family life, and everything else. We feel part of the family up in Cumbria. To the point, even though I'm live and my wife's most probably watching, I'm starting to look for a house up here, but don't tell her. Because I'd rather be up here.
I'll send her a few links tonight.
Well, thank you all for coming. I hope you have a really safe journey home. I hope you have a good summer. We are here. We will be blogging when we're out. I'll be letting people know where Dan is. We are here once a month in March. Our first one is in March, sometime where we're using the centre, and we bring everybody up here, and they all go out cycling or walking or doing whatever they do. And that's purely just to support their mental health and give a little bit of support to mental health awareness. But you're all welcome to come anytime you want on a day trip, and as long as you say you came to Dan's do, we'll do you a discount and allow you to come along, because as far as I'm concerned, you've made the effort, so we'd like to respond and say thank you. Last word from Dan before you go.
I appreciate it all, and I am flying out this Sunday, so my last weekend in the UK for a good while. But yeah, I appreciate it all. A big crowd, bigger than I expected, but I do appreciate it.
Thank
you.
Really quickly, Dan, on behalf of the Rotary Club of Eden and also the Crosby Garrett Village Hall, thank you so much for what you do, not only with with all the talk that you've done today, but everything that you bring via space and what Pete and the rest of the team do for the village hall. It's sustaining our community and putting money into this village hall is absolutely outstanding. And you're also doing brilliant stuff for the people who you're supporting as well, which we've got a lot of respect for. So a huge thank you from us as well.
This is the time where you go to the bar, Bob.